So we are going to start on our backs. So we're going to lay down onto our mats. If you need a pillow in behind your head, make sure you're comfortable. And we're going to start with a little bit of work for the tummy muscles. So we're going to come into our ab prep or our crunch position. So you're going to take a breath in and give your chin a nod. And as you breathe out, you're curling up, ribcage slides to the hips. Pause up here, take a breath in, and then breathe out, release all the way back down. Lovely, so you give the head a gentle nod, and then sliding ribs to hips, curling up, flexing the spine, and then lowering all the way back down. Lovely, so protecting that neck, giving that chin a tuck, eye line coming towards the fronts of those thighs, and thinking nice length through the arms, so trying to avoid having those shoulders hunched up underneath the ears. You want to think like you're reaching towards the bottom of your mat. Keeping those breaths flowing in and out. We're going to go for another 5. We've got 4. For 3. For 2. And then your last one, tuck through your chin, curling up into flexion, pause up here, and then slowly releasing all the way back down to the mat. Give those knees a little hug in towards your chest, take a little rock from side to side. And then from here, place those legs back down onto the mat. We're just going to do a little bit of work, just coming into our imprint and release. So just take a breath in, let your pelvis tilt back, feel the ribs and hips come closer together. And as you breathe out, release back to neutral. So you let the pelvis tilt back. You'll feel like lower back will gently flatten towards the mat. And then you're releasing back to neutral. So just getting that little bit of movement through the pelvis. And you're gently getting those abdominals working as well to bring you into this position. Let's just go for another 4. You've got 3. Going for 2. And for your last one, hold your imprinted position. And from here, start to bring one leg and then the other leg up and into tabletop. Lovely. Take a little pause up here at the top and then let one leg come back down and then let the second leg come back down. Allow your imprint to release. And then when you're ready, come back into it again and start to bring those legs up again, one at a time. So just focusing on coming up and down from your tabletop and bringing a little bit of stillness into your movement, really focusing on the control. So especially as those legs come up off the mat, you might feel like that pelvis wants to kind of shift and move around a little bit. So try to keep it as stable as we can. And as those legs are floating back down onto the mat, preventing that pelvis from wanting to roll all the way forward or letting that back arch out. So tummy muscles helping to control this position and helping to control that movement of the legs for us. And you can have a little bit of pressure down through the arms if you need to help stabilize you a bit, but you want to try and avoid anything too much that will cause tension up around the neck and the shoulders. So arms just nice and light by your side. Go for one more like this, and then bring both feet back down onto the mat. When both legs are back down, just let your imprint release, just take a couple of breaths in and out. And then from here, we're going to come into our toe tap. So we're going to do our first set with just one leg in tabletop to begin with. So floating one leg up to tabletop. And from here, keeping that angle at the back of your knee at that 90 degrees, you're going to breathe in as that foot comes down to tap the mat. And as you breathe out, it comes back to tabletop. Lovely, so keeping that angle at the knee the same, foot coming down and back up. I'm really focusing as that leg is moving on keeping that stability through your pelvis. So try to maintain that same position through the lower back and the pelvis as that leg moves, keeping that gentle connection through those tummy muscles. Let's go here for another 5. We've got 4. Go for 3. For 2. And for 1. Lovely. And then letting that foot come all the way back down onto the mat. Take a couple of breaths in and out. Give the pelvis a little shake around if you need it. And then from here, so for our second set of these, you have the option, you can either just go now with the other leg in tabletop, stay one leg in tabletop if you want, or if you want the challenge, you can go for the 2 legs up in tabletop. If we're going 2 legs in tabletop, we're going to be alternating leg to leg each time. So you're breathing in, 1 foot lowers down towards the mat, breathing out, it returns to tabletop, and you switch side. And noticing, you might notice when your 2 legs are up in tabletop, that your range of motion might be a little bit more reduced, or you might feel you need to control a little bit more through the pelvis, through those tummy muscles, in order to maintain that stability. So just working in a range that feels good for you. If you can get the foot to touch off the mat, that's super, but if not, it's not the end of the world. Let's go for another 4. Go for 3. For 2, for 1, bring both legs back to tabletop, and then bring 1 leg at a time back down onto the mat. Let your imprint release, and from here, let the knees and hips roll across to one side. Allow your head and neck to turn, just getting a little rotation through that lower back. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, let them roll over and across to the other side. The head turns. Lovely. And go again side to side. So allowing those hips to roll off the mat, but keeping those shoulder blades down. Lovely. And going once more to the other side. And then coming back to the center. And from here then, we are going to bring ourselves into a little bit of bridging. So we're going to take our pillow out from behind our head. And before we start, we just want to make sure we're happy with our setup. So we want our knees bent and our legs are about hip distance apart. So you have that little bit of space between them. They're not resting against each other. And arms are just nice and relaxed down by your side. And you're going to start taking a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, you're pushing your feet into the ground. You're lifting pelvis and spine up for the ceiling. Pause up there, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, lowering all the way back down. Lovely, so feet push into the ground, pelvis and spine lift up. We're aiming for that nice long diagonal line from knees to shoulders, and then releasing softly back down onto the mat. Lovely, so really feeling ourselves activating into our bum muscles, our glutes, our hamstrings at the backs of our thighs. Trying to keep that rib cage hidden through the tummy, so we don't want to feel like we're flaring the chest or arching the back as we come up and down. Let's go for another 5. Okay, we've got 4. Going for 3. And imagining like you have that invisible ball between the legs, so they're not coming any closer, any further apart as you go up and down. Coming into your last one now, you're going to hold it up at the top. And we're going to go for little pulses of the pelvis up and down. So you're going to let the pelvis drop an inch and then lift it back up an inch. So little dips down and up. Lovely, let's go for another 8. We've got 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift it all the way up and then release all the way back down. From here then, we are going to come into a little bit of work for our arms and our bridge. So you have the option here if you want to take either a water bottle into either hand, or if you want to take a tin of beans or a tin of soup into either hand to give you an extra little bit of weight. Or if you're happy to do it just with your body weight as well, that is perfect. So we're going to lay ourselves back down onto the mat. And if we want to, taking a light little weight into either hand, we're going to lift up into our bridge again. So pushing the feet into the ground, lifting all the way up to our bridge. And then when you're ready, bring those two arms up towards the ceiling. From here then, coming into some arm scissors. So one arm coming up as the other goes down. Bring them back to center and they switch. So getting a little bit of work into those arms and shoulders. And also focusing on now as the arms are moving, try not to forget about that pelvis. So it might be tempted to dip down a little bit if we're focusing on something else. So trying to keep that same nice knees to shoulders height through the body. And as those arms are going back especially, trying to avoid that chest and rib cage from flaring out. Let's go for another 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, bring the arms back together, lower the pelvis all the way back down, arms coming down by your side. And from here, let's go for one last one with those arms. So taking the weights back to our hand if we want to use them. Bringing the pelvis up into our bridge position. And from here, starting with the hands by our side, we're just going to come into some shoulder flexion. So you're going to let the two arms come up and overhead together. Take a little pause back there and then bring them all the way back down to your side. Keeping yourself lifted up in your bridge. So just letting those two arms come up. Good. And lowering them back down. We're just going to stay here for 4. So with those arms coming overhead, we've got a little less upper body support. So the legs have to work a little bit harder to try and keep us up in that bridge position. Go for 2. And when you're ready, go for 1 more. Bring the arms back. And let them come all the way back to your side, and then lower your pelvis all the way back down onto the mat. From here, you can bring that pillow back in behind your head. And give those knees a little hug in towards the chest, just ease out that lower back of any tension. And then from here, let's come into a little stretch for those bum muscles. So keep your right knee in towards your chest, allow your left leg to lengthen out long on the mat. And then draw your right knee over and across towards the left shoulder. And let's just pause it there, breathing in and out. Go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, come back to the center, lengthen that leg out long. Draw the left knee in towards your chest, and when you're ready, bring it over and across towards the right side of the body, pausing it there. Keep those breaths flowing in and out for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back to the center, let the leg lengthen out long. We're going to bring ourselves over onto our tummies next from here, do a little bit of work for the back of the body. So we are going to start with a little bit of our upper back extension. So you can let your forehead come to rest on your pillow, or if you feel more comfortable with your forehead just down on the mat, whichever feels best. And your arms are going to be, as Rachel has them here, in that kind of W position. So you've got a hand either side of the head. And before you do anything, you want to have that little bit of connection through the lower tummy muscles. So just gently drawing them in towards your spine from the mat. And from here, you're going to take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, you're sliding your shoulder blades back and down, so gently pinch together. Your forehead and breastbone hovering, you can let those arms come with you. Pausing there, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, lowering yourself back down. So you let those shoulder blades slide down and inwards on the upper back. You get that gentle little hover up, pausing it there, and then releasing back down. And you have the option with this one as well. You can leave the arms down on the mat if it feels a little better for you to start from. You can always work towards having those arms lifted. So 2 different options for you to go for with this one. So getting that little bit of work into our upper back extensors, those smaller muscles that lay around our shoulder blades. Great muscles to help with our posture. We want to keep our eye line down towards the mat or towards our pillow, so we keep that nice long shape through our neck. We're not craning the head up or leaving it down. Let's go for another 5. We've got 4. Go for 3. For 2. And for 1. And lowering back down. We're going to go for 3 holds like that to finish with. So again, you can either move the arms up or bring them down, whichever way you want to go with. So you're going to slide the shoulder blades back and down. We're going to hover up and we're going to pause it here this time for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lowering yourself back down. And again, you're taking a breath in, breathing out, sliding those shoulder blades, hovering up, pausing here, breathing in and out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lowering back down, and we're going to go for one last one. When you're ready, take a deep breath in, breathing out, gentle little hover and reach for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lowering back down. Lovely. We're going to stay on our tummies for our next one, but we're going to do a little bit of work for our legs. So head and hands can go wherever is most comfortable for you for this one. And we want our legs to be opened wide, so we've got a foot pointing to either corner of our mat. From here then, keeping that little bit of gentle connection through the lower tummy, and try to just have a little figure out about the front of those hips and pelvis. You want to feel like the bony part at the front of your pelvis and hips is down onto the mat. You're even on either side, so you're not starting tilted one side over the other. And you want to try and maintain that position through the hips as the legs are going to move here. So you're taking a breath in to prepare, and as you breathe out, you're squeezing through your bum, letting one leg hover from the mat, pausing it up there as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you're placing it back down. And then you're switching sides. You're squeezing through the bum, other leg hovers up, you're taking a little pause, and you're lowering back down. So really feeling ourselves working into our bum muscles here as we get that leg hovering up and gently placing back down. And feeling that the front of the hips, they stay glued down onto the mat, so we don't want to feel like we're opening out the front of the hip as that leg comes up. And we're keeping that relatively neutral point through our spine. We're not overly extending as that leg comes up. Let's go for another 6. We've got 5. For 4, for 3, for 2, and then go for one last one. Last little bit to either leg, we're going to hold each one for 10 seconds. So when you're ready, squeeze through the bum, let one leg hover up, and pause it here this time for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lowering it back down. When you're ready, go into the other side, squeezing through the bum, leg hovers up, and we pause for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lowering back down. Lovely. From here, take a little shell stretch, so allow your bum to come down towards your heels. Let the arms reach out long. Stretch out through that spine. Take some nice deep breaths in and out. Really feel yourself opening out the back of the chest and the rib cage. And just stay in this position. Go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And from here, we are going to bring ourselves onto our side next. We're going to come into a little side leg series. So laying down onto our side, you are going to have your 2 legs out long for this one. And before we do anything, just checking out, make sure you're happy with your setup. So fold up your pillow if you need to, or if you need to pop a hand in underneath. You want to feel like you're stacked through the shoulders, hips, knees, feet. Have a little bit of activation through those lower tummy muscles to help stabilize you on your side. And that top arm can either come down on the mat for a little bit of support, or if you want to challenge your stability more, you can bring it up along your side. You can always change it around as we go anyways. So we're going to start just with a little single leg lift and lower. So you're going to let your top leg float up. You're going to pause it there. And as you breathe out, you're going to lower it back down. So letting that top leg float up. Take a little pause and then lowering it back down. Lovely, and keeping this nice control through the movement as it comes up and as it lowers back to that other leg. So working into our bum muscles, muscles along the side of our leg and hip. Let's go for 6. For 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Lovely, and lowering it back down. From here, bring it up just about halfway, and we're going to go for some little tiny pulses. So just letting that leg come up an inch and letting it go down an inch. And you're going to stay here for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And bring that leg all the way back down. Lovely, last little bit we're going to do on this side, we're going to come into some leg circles. So you're going to bring that top leg up just above hip height. And we're going to start to make nice controlled circles in one direction. So feel like that movement is coming from that thigh bone as it rolls around in its socket, trying to control that pelvis, staying as stable as we can. Let's go for another 3 in this direction. And for 2. For 1. Can we stay and go back the opposite way? For 3. For 2. For 1, and then lowering that leg all the way back down. Lovely, give that side a little tap around if you need a little rub out, and we are going to bring ourselves over on to our other side from here. Lovely, so laying yourself down nice and long, coming back into that start position from the head down to the feet, nice long line through the body, a little bit of lower tummy activation. And when you're ready, coming into those single leg lift and lower. So top leg floating up, little pause, and lowering back down. Floating up, we pause, and lowering back down. And trying to stay as stable on our side as we can as that leg comes up and down. We've got 6. 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it all the way back down. From here, then we're going to bring that leg up just about halfway. And we're going to come into those little pulses, so letting that leg come up an inch and letting it lower an inch. And we're staying for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and bring it all the way back down. Lovely, last piece to do here, coming into those leg circles. So bring that leg up just above hip height and start those nice controlled circles in one direction, stabilizing that pelvis. Getting that full circumference. Lovely. Let's go for another 3 in this direction. Making them as big or as small as you can manage to control. Go for one more here. And then go back the opposite way when you're ready. Almost there. Last 3. Go for 2. Go for 1. And let that leg lower all the way back down. Lovely. Just bring yourself onto your back from here. Bring those 2 knees in towards the chest. Take a little rock from side to side. Keep one knee in towards your chest, let the other leg lengthen out. And then just let them switch. Let that leg go long, bring the other knee in. Lovely. Let's go once more to either side, lengthening out, hugging in. And once more to the other leg. Lovely. From here then, bring the 2 knees to bent on the mat. Keep the feet together and just let the knees open wide to either side of the room. Just get a little stretch into the fronts of those hips, into the inner thigh and the groin area. And just hold it here, breathing in and out. Stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring those legs back in together. And from here then, we are going to bring ourselves onto our hands and knees next. We're going to do a little bit for our arms and shoulders. So we're coming onto hands and knees, lining ourselves up like we would for our cat stretch. So our hands are underneath the shoulders, our knees are under our hips. Before you do anything, just pay a little bit of attention to the position of the spine. So we want that relatively neutral point. Give yourself that little shake around, kind of find that nice long position from head to the pelvis. And before we do anything, draw those lower tummy muscles in towards the spine. So we want to feel like we're gently activated through the tummy muscles. We have a nice long position through the neck, so our eye line is just forward of where those hands are. And we're just going to start with a little protraction and retraction of the shoulders. So thinking about your shoulder blades on your upper back, imagine you wanted to pinch them together. So you'll feel yourself sink a little bit almost. And then like you wanted to widen those shoulder blades, like you're pushing yourself up that little bit more. So letting those shoulder blades pinch together on the upper back, letting those shoulder blades widen on the upper back. Let's go for another few like this, letting them pinch. Lovely, and letting them widen. Good, and keeping that little bit of control through the tummy muscles. So even though we're getting this little mobilization through the shoulders and through the shoulder blades, we're not letting that lower back sink or extend too much with us. Lovely. From there, find somewhere in between those 2 points now where you've got that nice neutral position back through the spine, and we're just going to come into some arm reaches. So you're going to take a breath in to prepare, and as you breathe out, you're just going to let one arm reach out in front. Pause it there as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, place it back in underneath you, and then switching sides, letting the other arm come forward, pausing it there, you breathe in, and breathing out, you place it back down. Lovely. So as you're working here, trying your best to keep everything as equal and as even through the body. So as one arm comes up, we don't want to feel all our weight shift over to one side. We want to try and keep our weight bearing as equal as we can. We want to try and prevent one side of the upper back and shoulders sinking down. Keeping those tummy muscles gently activated. Lovely. We're going to go for another 4. We've got 3. Go for 2. 3. And for 1. Lovely. Come back to your start position. We're going to hold 1 to either side to finish with. So when you're ready, let one arm reach out in front. Keep breathing in and out here, and we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lowering it back down. And to that other side when you're ready, arm reaches out. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lowering it back down. Before we come into our shell stretch, let's just take a little cat stretch. So letting yourself round up towards the ceiling, getting that flexion through your spine, and then coming into that gentle bit of extension, letting the head come up, the pelvis untucks, and we lengthen out the back. And again, rounding all the way up as if you wanted your spine to touch off the ceiling above you. and then lengthening and extending out. And come back to that neutral spot from here, and bring yourself back to your shell stretch at the bum. Come down for the heels, lengthen the arms out. Give those wrists a little stretch around if you need it. And then from here, let the arms walk across to one side of the mat. Just get a little flexion and rotation through the spine. And let them come across to the other side. Maybe bring them back to the centre and just stay in the centre for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you're ready, coming back upright. And we're going to go into our cool down from here when you're ready.